shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
New this morning, winter storm warning, and that begins at 4 o'clock this evening. I'll show you when the snow could start where you are and how much you might see.
And while we're talking about snow, might as well talk about the preparations. Teams will be out on the roads ahead of the winter storm moving in tonight. We'll talk about the NCDOT progress update that we're expecting this morning.
Plus, crews feeling fatigue. A second weekend of winter weather means no days off for a lot of people. How the repeat work days are impacting those workers. It's 6 a.m. here on your Friday. And yes, we do have another weekend with that storm and snowstorm moving in. I'm Laura Levine.
I'm Chris Lovingood. So prepare yourselves because, folks, it's going to be an interesting weekend. We are locked in, ready to go, including meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, who's going to talk a little bit about that winter storm warning later today.
That's right. So it goes into effect at 4 o'clock today, lasts until Sunday morning. So this is going to be a long duration event for us. Heavy snow, at least 3 inches or more. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Also, gusty winds, 25 to 35 miles per hour out of the northwest. We're going to walk you through the hour by hour wind chills coming up. But let's talk about that snowfall forecast. Looking at widespread 3 to 6 inches for our area. But there are going to be some bands that set up. It's still going to be really impossible to know where they are. Some pockets in our viewing area could see up to 8 inches, 9 inches. But again, as an average, we're looking at about 3 to 6 inches. Let's take a look at Futurecast, and we're going to see increasing clouds for today. The potential for a little bit of light snow late this afternoon into the evening in our northern counties, but it becomes much more widespread right around and just after midnight. We'll have bands that develop. It'll be on heavy for a while and then lighter and heavy for a while. That's 4 o'clock. And you can see it continues overnight and finally moves out around 6 a.m. on Sunday. So we're going to have, again, a long duration event on our hands. Yes, the roads will be covered. As a matter of fact, it's so cold out there that even that first bit of snow that develops is likely to go ahead and stick on the roads. So there'll be some shoveling. There may even be a few outages because of the winds that we'll see, along with some of the heavy snow on the power lines. For tomorrow, it's a cold weather advisory. Wind chills will be in the single digits. So keep that in mind as you're sending the kids out to play in the snow. Very, very cold. And then we're going to take it up a notch on Sunday for an extreme cold watch, meaning wind chill values as low as 5 below. And so really, really cold. This is a look at the wind chill potential for Sunday morning at 7 a.m. We're fairly cloudy right now. 22 is our temperature, but right now the wind is calm, so no real wind chill except up in South Hill. They're recording 12 for the wind chill. It is 10 in Rocky Mount. But for most of us, we're looking at temperatures in the upper teens to low 20s heading out the door. Mostly cloudy through the afternoon. And then 35 degrees. Starting around 7 or 8, we could begin to see some light flurries. But again, we're going to walk through Futurecast and talk about those snow totals a bit more coming up.
All right, Elizabeth, checking your morning commute here in the WRAL Live Center. We're going to start with this live look at I-40 and Carytown Boulevard. Boy, very low traffic volume right now, but traffic is flowing at a nice steady clip. So as we look at right now, the view, give you a look at the live traffic map. No delays whatsoever. If you're coming in from Knightdale, you're coming in from Garner, Johnson County, and I-40 westbound, all delay free at this hour. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Well, today we'll learn more about how North Carolina is getting ready for the snow this weekend. In fact, Governor Josh Stein plans to hold a news conference this morning at 11. You can watch that on WRAL and WRAL.com. Let's bring in WRAL's Ali Kadabar. She's at the NCDOT facility on Blue Ridge Road this morning. Ali, the main concern this time, it's snow.
Yeah, snow and a lot of it, that accumulation. We're expected to see crews out on the roads plowing that snow as soon as tonight. Brighton crews are going to be back on the roads treating them later or throughout the day today. Once the snow starts accumulating overnight, plow trucks will then be sent out. Governor Josh Stein issued another state of emergency yesterday ahead of this weekend storm. He says the DOT's efforts will look similar to last week, but snow will be easier to move off the roads. So they're going to start clearing the interstates, then major state roads, then secondary roads. Stein is asking people to be patient and stay home if possible.
These guys are going to have to still work hard to clear the roads. It's going to be coming. It's going to be windy. They're going to be out there plowing. And for them, it's going to be very much the same.
Now, we're expecting to hear an update on the preparations from NCDOT and Governor Josh Stein. NCDOT will be hearing from them at 10 and Governor Josh Stein at 11. You can check back with WRAL. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Kadabar, WRAL News.
And this is the second weekend in a row with winter weather leading some essential workers to feel burnout. WRAL's Grace Haba is outside in Raleigh this morning. It's a long stretch for these crews working to keep everyone safe, Grace.
Yeah, Laura, as Ali mentioned, hopefully some good news, though, for these crews heading into this weekend is that we are expecting, again, that snow over ice that a lot of these crews had to deal with last weekend. Looking at I-40 this morning here in Raleigh, we have seen a lot of salt trucks actually making their way around the area. Again, all of them preparing for that incoming weather. With back-to-back weekends of winter weather, many of these Wake County municipalities like Garner and Zebulon will have a lot of the same people back out here working this storm. And officials say crews were able to thankfully take some time in the middle of this week to reset ahead of another busy weekend.
Not running as hard as you can, but when you have those moments to slow down, make certain you're slowing down and looking after your folks.
And something that officials say everyone at home can do to help those crews that will be out here treating the roads this weekend is once this winter weather hits, stay off the roads, stay home unless it's an absolute emergency. Reporting live in Wake County, Grace Haba, WRAL News.
I mean, it really does make it easier for the teams out there. Granville County is opening its emergency warming shelter full time this week. The shelter will be open all day through Sunday. If you're unfamiliar, it's located on Knotts Grove Road in Oxford, and volunteers are still needed for evening and overnight shifts. Folks, count on WRAL to bring you updates on the forecast and preparations. Stay connected with us on TV, online, and through the WRAL News app. Just make sure you turn on push notifications on the app. That way you get alerts right to your phone.
Isaiah Ross was given a verdict yesterday in an Orange County double murder trial. Ross was found guilty of the second-degree murder of Devin Clark. A mistrial was declared in the case of Lyric Woods. Ross was sentenced to a maximum 25 years. The prosecution asked for the murder charge of Lyric Woods to be revisited in March.
A key vote to avoid a partial government shutdown was delayed last night on Capitol Hill. The Senate did not vote on a funding agreement, and funding for a large portion of the federal government is set to expire at the end of the day today. The agreement would have extended funding for most of the government through September. However, it would have only funded Department of Homeland Security for 2 weeks.
What I thought was going to happen is that the 5 of the bills of the 6 that remain in the Senate would be broken out from the Homeland bill separately, and that they would be sending us some sort of continuing resolution on the Homeland bill because there's some negotiation or discussion that would be had between the president and Democrats.
Well, and the House is in recess until Monday, but if the measure is passed by the Senate today, it will likely be passed by the House when they return.
Happening today, students at UNC will protest ICE. Organizers say they are standing in solidarity with protesters in Minneapolis. At 2 p.m., students will walk out of class and meet on Franklin Street. There, student organizers will speak on the anti-ICE boycott of Target, which is located across the street. They will also cover the importance of political engagement ahead of the upcoming midterm elections.
Nash County health leaders are warning about a potential measles exposure. A child tested positive after visiting the UNC Health Nash Emergency Department, and that was on Tuesday. The child was unvaccinated and traveling from another country. Anyone who was at the health department between 9 a.m. through 11 p.m., again this past Tuesday, might have been exposed. Health leaders ask that you monitor any kind of symptoms.
Happening today, President Trump is expected to announce his pick for the next Federal Reserve chair. Reports indicate the next chair will be former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh. Some White House officials say the pick is not yet confirmed. The president could still change his mind leading up to this announcement. The current Fed chair, Jerome Powell, gave a piece of advice for the next person in his position.
Don't get pulled into elected politics. Don't do it.
So he was elected by Trump to lead the Fed during his first term in office, but has since disagreed with him on interest rate cuts. Powell's term ends on May 15th.
And Laura, with all that in mind, happening now in the WRAL Launch Center, we're checking stock futures right now that are in the red ahead of the Fed chair being named, as well as the PPI report that's scheduled to come out later this morning. Of course, the opening bell around 9:30. Stocks right now down off more than 300 points. The S&P, NASDAQ also heavily in the red this morning. Of course, that PPI report tracks what producers pay for goods, which in turn could influence how and if they pass that increase on to us consumers. We'll have the report when it drops around 8:30. And, of course, we'll have the opening numbers in our 9 o'clock hour over on Fox 50.
A Wake County student is suing the county school system. She says a classmate repeatedly abused her and the district failed to act. Lawmakers say a Beaver Dam Elementary School student was repeatedly assaulted by a second grade classmate in 2023. The lawsuit alleges that abuse happened in the classroom and hallways, and the school didn't do enough to stop it, despite reports and video evidence. The student is seeking more than $25,000 in damages, but the school system has not responded to our request for comments on the allegations.
Due to the winter weather threat this weekend, the Ravenscroft School postponed their Celebration of Life event for Zoe Welsh again. She was a teacher at the school, and investigators say she was attacked in her home during a break-in last month and died at the hospital. This event was also rescheduled last week because of the winter weather. It will now be held March 29th at the Jones Theater. Doors will open at 2:15. The event will begin at 3.
Time is 6:10. Small business struggles. We are about to have a second weekend of winter weather in a row. How the shopping slowdowns are affecting local stores.
Plus, indoor events. There are still some things to do this weekend, despite the snow. Your out and about best bets coming up.
And here's a look at our snowfall forecast, an average of 3 to 6 inches. But coming up, I'll show you why we may have some heavier totals in a few places.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Our winter storm warning goes into effect at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It doesn't mean the snow is going to start at 4 o'clock, but that's a good starting point for people to, be kind of wrapping everything up and getting home and planning to settle in there for most of the weekend. We are looking at heavy snow and gusty winds that are going to bring our wind chills into the single digits or negative digits, especially on Sunday. So widespread, we're going to see 3 to 6 inches in our viewing area, but there are going to be some bands set up. As a matter of fact, we call it a deformation zone, and meteorologist Grant Skinner is going to come along and talk a little bit about that and why those are so hard to pinpoint. But we may have some pockets of heavier totals even in our viewing area, but an average should be right around 3 to 6 inches. Heading out the door right now, it's cold out there. 19 in Wilson, 22 Durham, 20 in Fayetteville. It will be windy over the weekend, but it's not windy yet as the kids are getting off the bus this afternoon, though temperatures will barely be above freezing.
All right, Elizabeth, weather and traffic every 10 minutes as we track your morning commute here in the WRAL Live Center. Right now, we're not seeing any delays, relatively speaking, on any of our major routes, short of a 1-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest and US 1. But I-87, I-40 westbound coming in from Gardner, Johnston County, no delays to report at this hour. But you're getting ready to head into the car, though. We'll keep you updated. Just tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Ken, thank you. The Buddhist monks' march through America is now hitting a snag. The lead monk isn't feeling well. A spokesperson for the Walk for Peace says the monk is walking at a slower pace and receiving IV treatment and antibiotics. He is starting to feel a little bit better, but a medical team is monitoring him closely. Today, of course, is day 97 of their journey to Washington, D.C.
Business owners here locally say the 2 back-to-back winter weather weekends, this will hurt their business. Weekends are the busiest time for them. Cafe Luna owner Brent Thompson says they shut down last Saturday and will likely have to do the same tomorrow. The closures are especially tough on service industry employees who rely on tips to make ends meet.
Especially at the end of the month, a lot of guys have rent to pay soon. A lot of guys are paying off holiday credit card debt. So I really feel for them. I've reached out to all of them these last couple days as we prepare for this weekend too, and we'll help them the best we can.
Well, restaurants are not the only businesses feeling the effects. Retailers say the weather has also hurt them too. And those business owners say that you can support local by making online orders or even buying gift cards.
There are some indoor shows to enjoy on a frigid winter weather weekend.
All right, let's talk all about this morning in WRAL's Out and About.
The world's toughest rodeo is in town tonight at Lenovo Center. There will be bull riding, barrel racing, and much more fun. It was postponed last weekend, but it's on for tonight at 7:30. The gates open at 6, and ticket holders can go down onto the dirt before the show to meet the cowboys and enjoy pony rides.
Yeah, and opera is coming to the Martin Marietta Center. Starting tonight, you can see a story of passion, sacrifice, and heartbreak. Madonna Butterfly follows a young geisha who gives up everything for love. The first show is tonight at 7:30. And of course, for more Out and About best bets, go to WRAL.com.
Now here in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, Elizabeth, so much that we're tracking for this weekend between the snow, the bitter cold, and the wind.
Yes, it's going to be quite the weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We are feeling very confident in some measurable snow, so we still have a little bit of time to get prepared. You want to make sure that you've made that last trip to the grocery store and are all ready to stay in for the weekend and probably into next week as well. We're starting to see the snow developing. What will happen, it hasn't happened yet, is a low will form off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia, and it will roll up the coast and start to push some of that moisture inland, creating some heavy bands of snow for us. But it's already falling potentially lightly up around parts of Virginia, back into Kentucky. Widespread totals for us will be 3 to 6 inches, but we will see some pockets that are going to be heavier. It's going to be kind of like buying a lottery ticket. Are you going to get that heavy snow or are you not? Grant's coming up in just a second to talk about why it's so difficult to pinpoint where some of those heavier bands will be. Winter storm warning goes into effect at 4 o'clock, and then sometime this evening up until around midnight, we'll start to see some snow filtering in. The winds will start to pick up for us, especially as we get into the day tomorrow. As we get through the afternoon, we'll see mostly cloudy skies, and you can see some bands of precipitation in our northern counties starting as early as 7. Some of that may not reach the ground until closer to midnight. And then as we get through the day on Saturday, we're going to see waves of snow coming in from the coast. That's 4 o'clock. 10 o'clock Saturday night, it is coming down. And then finally, it starts to pull away. So we have a new term we want to teach you called deformation zone. And meteorologist Grant Skinner is here to talk a little bit about what that is and why we're going to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of a complicated process. That's what makes this such a complicated forecast for us to see exactly where we'll see that heaviest snow. But generally, we are looking at the upper level low at first. Where is that set up? Downstream of the upper level low, we have a surface low. When that low is at a mature stage, so it's longer in the process of becoming a good frontal system, the clouds will wrap around that area of low pressure. And as that wraps around, we also have precip that wraps around it. And on the northwest side of the low, typically on the northwest side, you have some of that heaviest precip right along the edge of what's called the deformation zone. And with that, in the higher parts of the atmosphere, the winds will be spreading apart. So at the surface, they'll be converging and quickly moving upwards, and that's why we have that heavier precip. Now, right on the edge of that line, we can have some areas of lighter precip as well. That's what makes it so complicated. We could have an area at the coastline that has a lot of precip, while just to the north and west, there's some lighter precip in a few spots. So here's one snow forecast. This is from one of the forecast models. You can see one of them showing it all the way through Fayetteville, all the way through the coastline, while another forecast model shows maybe a heavier brand of precip closer to the north and west. So it makes for a very, very complicated forecast. That's why we're watching them very closely. As of right now, we have some of those heaviest totals, though, at the coastline. But, of course, that could change, and that's why we'll have those updated totals. We're expecting impacts throughout this weekend, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. A very complicated pattern for us, for sure. We're going to be seeing shoveling, and the snow is going to be light and fluffy. It's going to be great for sledding and easier to shovel than last weekend. But making a snowman may not be quite as easy because it just isn't going to pack. The cold weather is going to be an issue for us, too. We have a cold weather advisory that goes into effect for tomorrow, and then an extreme cold watch on Saturday night and into Sunday. This is the dangerous cold that we'll see tomorrow. As the kids are getting out to play, it's going to feel like single digits. And then look at this. On Sunday morning, it could feel like -8 in Roxborough and -2 in Fayetteville. So bitterly cold temperatures to go along with it. And it stays cold for quite some time, so we'll likely be stuck with the snow, whatever we get, for quite a few days.
Well, Elizabeth, checking your morning commute here in the WRAL Live Center. Let's take a live look now at I-40 and Wade Avenue. These are the westbound lanes heading toward Durham this morning. Of course, those are the eastbound lanes moving away from us. And even though traffic is beginning to pick up a little bit, traffic is flowing nicely at a nice steady clip in all our major routes. Relatively no delays whatsoever, short of a 1-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest and US 1 South. But I-87, I-40 westbound coming in out of Garner, Johnston County. If you're on the road right now, delay-free. Of course, you're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Your time is 6:21 this morning. Fire crew staffing. Yes. Durham is going to have more first responders on duty this weekend. The emergencies they're looking for as the winter storm moves in.
Plus, snow driving safety. Just ahead, 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur shares the important things to know if you must hit the road.
And ahead on today, food delivery companies are changing the way they make deliveries. So we'll take a look at the autonomous robots joining the fleet in some cities.
Welcome back. The Durham Fire Department is increasing its staffing this weekend. They're adding a firefighter to every ladder truck and a minimum of 4 people in rescue vehicles. The trucks will be outfitted with cables and chains to help them drive through icy conditions. The deputy chief says that they have to be just as careful as everyone else.
We're still going to be slowed down. The response is going to be a little bit slower because we've got to be safe. Safety's, our number one concern all the time. Regardless of what it is, driving is going to be the bigger concern with this storm.
And you are also advised to be smart about how you heat your home if the power goes out. Follow the directions on your generator and don't bring them inside.
Well, there is a Rambo sequel in production, plus a hit TV show may not see more episodes for some time.
Yes, let's take a look now at what's trending starting here. Noah Centineo is set to star in John Rambo. The movie is an origin story for the character famously played by Sylvester Stallone. Production on John Rambo has begun in Thailand. So, of course, this is really interesting. He's also known, of course, for his work in The Fosters and as Peter in To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yeah, it'd be a very different role playing John Rambo. All right, so the team behind Heated Rivalry is teasing potential bonus episodes. They say they would love to have more episodes out for the holiday next winter, but it would be limited content rather than a full season. They say you can't rush the process. I commend them on that because so many different franchises try to just keep pumping out the same thing every single year, but sometimes you need to let them cook.
And even as a viewer, you're always like, okay, when is it coming out? But you can always tell when a production is rushed, for sure.
Absolutely can. Well, hey, the Hurricanes made history during Hartford Whalers Night at the Nova Center. Check this out. The Canes trailed the Utah Mammoth 4-2 with 2 minutes left on the clock. Plot twist, they scored 3 times in just 90 seconds to get that win 5-4. It is just the 3rd time in NHL history a team that trailed by 2 with 2 minutes left came back to win without needing overtime. The Canes are back in action tomorrow night in Washington.
And here's a look at our snowfall total map. We're going to see significant accumulations of snow. We'll talk about why they may not be equal across the viewing area coming up.
And preparing the roads. Teams are out brining again today. We'll talk about the update we're expecting from NCDOT.
Plus, a Raleigh house fire. A firefighter was hurt while putting out these flames, the response to an abandoned home.